Good morning, everyone. Today we will learn about bacterial transformation. So, what does bacterial transformation means? In one line, we can say transfer of bacterial DNA or DNA from other species to a host bacteria. This is called transformation. We already know about the conjugation in our previous class. That also a horizontal DNA transfer process from one bacteria to another bacteria. So, what is the difference between this conjugation and transformation? Well, in conjugation, direct contact of cell cell contact is needed. That means DNA transfer through a 6 uh, form of the donor DNA and recipient DNA. But in transformation, direct cell contact is not needed. Only DNA, that means extracellular DNA from the environment or extracellular environmental media, DNA can transfer to the host bacteria, or we can do it artificially in lab environmental media or lab media. So why transformation of DNA happen? Because DNA is the genetic material. It can only give, it only can give uh, new characteristic to the host bacteria, not the extracellular protein or carbohydrate, polysaccharide or lipid. Let's first recall how we know DNA is genetic material. In 1928, scientist Frederick Griffith studied on Streptococcus pneumonia, a pathogenic bacterium causing pneumonia. There are two strains of the Streptococcus. First one, the S, that is smooth strain. This is virulent strain. That means they can cause disease. And smooth strain also have exopolysaccharide in the outer membrane. And another is the RAP strain. They don't have a exopolysaccharide outer layer, and R strain is non-virulent. That means they did not cause disease. Griffith infected mice with these two strains, hoping to understand the difference between these two strains. So, so what is the result of Griffith's experiment? First one, live smooth strain cell killed the mice. Second one, live rough strain did not kill the mice. And third one, heat killed smooth strain cell did not kill the mice. But the last one, which is heat killed smooth strain with the live or rough strain, that surprisingly killed the mice. Let's try to understand through this figure. So Griffith injected the smooth strain of Streptococcus pneumonia uh, that have the exopolysaccharide membrane into the mice, and mice died. The first experiment. In the second experiment, in the second plan, you can see the he did injection with the RAP strain, no exopolysaccharide to the mice, and he observed mice are live. In the next third panel, next experiment, what he did, he first did heat kill of the smooth strain of Streptococcus pneumonia. Take the Streptococcus pneumonia bacterial solution, then heated it, and then take that solution and inject it into the mice. And he saw that mice are live. In the last experiment, fourth one, what he did the combination of second one and third one. That means first he did the heat killed of the smooth strain of Streptococcus pneumonia, heat killed, and that solution he added in the rough strain. And after some time, that solution, the rough strain and heat killed smooth one, he mixed and he take and injected in the mice, and he saw that mice died. So, to our strain, that's in the second panel, you see that rough one, it own self did not kill the mice. In the third panel, the heat killed one own self did not kill the mice, but the combination did kill the mice. So what happened? He did not concluded the Griffith did not conclude the experiment. He instead say that the exopolysaccharide may transform to the outer surface of the rough strain, and the exopolysaccharide might be the cause of the death of the mice. So what happened? So Griffith told that it might be the polysaccharide transform, but polysaccharide or maybe polysaccharide in the outer layer go to the outer layer of the rough strain and it caused the death. But that is not the conclusion. The same experiment in 1944, Avery, McLeod and McCarthy repeated this experiment using purified cell extract, and they repeated. First they took the smooth strain plus heat killed smooth strain and the rough strain mixed together, and they added protease into the solution, and after that they injected in the mice, and they found that same result happened, that mice was dead. Mice become again they took the same, but instead of protease, now they added DNase in the solution. That means they take the smooth heat inactivated smooth strain, the rough strain one plus DNase. Now they found that mice was live. So hence DNase degrade the DNA and it can only transform to the, so they conclude, so DNA degrade the DNA. So DNA only can transform. In the first one, the protease degrade the protein. So protein not transformed, but DNA transformed, and result was same, that the mice died. But in the next one, the DNA degrade the DNA, so DNA can't transform, and mice was live. From this experiment, they proved that DNA is a genetic material. Later, Hershey and Chase did the same with the modified experiment, and they proved that DNA is the genetic material. Bacterial genome, we all know bacterial genome is circular double-stranded DNA. Generally, it's the nucleoid region, no perfect constructed nucleus like as eukaryotes, and DNA is tightly packed in the nucleoid region. Genome contains one chromosomal DNA and one or many plasmid DNA into the cytosol. Now, what is plasmid? Plasmid is a small circular self-replicating species of DNA separate from the bacterial chromosome. It contains small number of genes. That means it can also synthesize some protein, it can incorporate themselves into bacterial chromosome sometimes, that is called episome. So plasmid can independently stay at the cytosol, or sometimes they incorporate into the bacterial chromosome, depend on the environmental condition. Good morning everyone. Today we will learn about bacterial transformation. So here in this figure, just it's a schematic diagram. Uh, Later we go through the molecular mechanism, how transformation occur. But this is the just schematic. Here you see that's DNA fragment, capital A, capital B, capital A to capital B fragment, capital B to capital C fragment, D to E, F. So a lot of fragment, and it is, in the next one the recipient cell, which have chromosome is the small, denoted as the small a, small b, c, d, e. So this donor DNA fragment is uptake by the recipient cell, and here for example A to B fragment go inside the cellular system. Now B fragment and the capital B and small b have the similar sequence, so they can recombine, they can recombination. So the B fragment, capital B fragment of sequence go to the recipient cell genome sequence, and the extra one, the bigger one and the small b are degraded in the. So this recipient cell now become genetically transformed cell, because it have the another the capital B sequence which are coming from the extracellular environment. So this is how transformation occurs. Another in the left hand side, if we figure we can understand much better way, like it's a bacterial chromosome denoted as the green hue. So and the transforming DNA denoted as the purple color. So this transformation DNA can't go inside the cell automatically. So the recipient cell uh, express some DNA binding protein in its cell wall. So this transforming DNA bind that DNA binding protein, and then what happened? This in the recipient cell membrane, it's having nuclease. So what this nuclease do? They degrade the single one strand of this double strand transforming DNA. So it become single strand DNA. Next, what happened? There is some competence factor in the cell wall or cell membrane and cytosol. That is the competence specific single strand binding protein. This single strand binding protein uh, bind with the single strand uh, single strand DNA, and make it transport to the cytosol. In the cytosol, there is a REC-A protein. That's REC-A protein help to recombination with the chromosomal DNA. So the similar sequence, if it have a similar sequence, it can recombine with the genomic DNA and make it permanently transform cell. So what is the importance of the competent specific single strand binding protein. So here, so why this happen? Why this that's competent specific single stranded DNA binding protein needed? Uh, Anyone can say this answer? Let me make you understand. Because inside the cytosol there is a lot of DNA, exonuclease protein, endonuclease protein. So that's enzyme, DNase enzyme, exonuclease and endonuclease enzyme that can degrade your single and that's transforming donor DNA single strand. So this is single stranded DNA binding protein protect your bind your single strand and protect from this exonuclease or endonuclease or DNA from the degradation. Here, from this figure, you can know that DNA fragment uptake by the recipient cell, but there is two phase of this transformation. In first one, bacteria have competence factor, SSB protein, RAK protein, all that. So that means bacterial competent cell. So its DNA, the donor DNA or the transforming DNA did not degrade by the exonuclease or endonuclease, uh, and RAK protein also integrated into the recombine help to recombination with the genomic DNA and integration of homologous recombination happen. So stable transformation can happen. In the other one, so it do not have the competence factor. That means it don't have a SSB protein and RAK protein. So what happened? The cytocellular exonuclease or endonuclease or DNA protein degrade your donor DNA or the transforming DNA. So unsuccessful transformation happened. So both way happen, stable transformation and unsuccessful transformation. It depends on the recipient bacteria, how the recipient bacteria it's have a competent factor or like a protein or not. If it's have, then it's stable transformation happen. If it don't have, then unsuccessful transformation happen. Bacterial genome, we all know bacterial genome is circular double-stranded DNA. Generally, it's a nucleoid region, no perfect constructed nucleus like as eukaryotes, and DNA is tightly packed in the nucleoid region. Genome contains one chromosomal DNA and one or many plasmid DNA into the cytosol. Now, what is plasmid? Plasmid is a small circular self-replicating species of DNA separate from the bacterial chromosome. It contains small number of genes. That means it can also synthesize some protein. It can incorporate themselves into bacterial chromosome sometimes. That is called episome. So plasmid can independently stay at the cytosol, or sometimes they incorporate into the bacterial chromosome depend on the environmental condition. Good morning, everyone. Today we will learn about bacterial transformation. This is how, uh, in a gram-positive bacteria, as the example, a Bacillus subtilis, transformation happen. That's a molecular mechanism how it happens. There are a lot of, I already told you that there is some incompetence factor in the bacteria that helps to the permanent or successful um, transform cell. So here you see that competence G protein, form GC, its name, C is the factor, uh, competence G protein, and C is the factor. It's a type 4 pilus protein. Help to bind the extracellular DNA, that means the donor DNA, on the bacterial membrane, that means bacterial cell wall. The competence EA, the competence EA from EA, it helps intake of DNA inside the cell wall and binding with its function, also binding with the DNA. That's the extracellular DNA. Then the N means nuclease. Nuclease degrade one strand of the DNA. Then the COM-EC, that competence E protein, it forms a aqueous channel in the plasma membrane. You see that the peptide glycan layer is up, that's the cell wall, and then the plasma membrane. So EC uh, form the complex, that's the aqueous channel in the plasma membrane, not the cell wall. So in nuclease or that foam EA and foam GC, all they stay in the cell wall. Nucleus in the just upper of the cell membrane, but foam EC inside the plasma membrane. It's form a aqueous channel in the plasma membrane and helps to transport the DNA. Competence factor A, it's a helicase enzyme. It's also a single strand, that's I called in previously the single strand binding protein. So COM-FA is a single strand binding protein. It binds to the DNA and transport to cytosol. The possibly protects the DNA from the internal endonuclease. So after it's entered to the cytosol and it's protect from the extracellular nuclease, where foam FA is bind with it. REK protein now bind with this single strand DNA and helps this DNA recombination with the host DNA. Now gram negative. Here process is little different, but more or less it's same. Only difference due to the presence of extra membrane. We know the gram negative have the outer layer. Uh, so the DNA requires the presence of channel formation by the secreting proteins on the outer membrane. Uh, so in the gram positive, what's happened directly they don't have a outer membrane, so directly receptor, that's the COM GC protein in the cell wall, so it's directly bind with the transforming DNA. But in gram negative, because it's have a outer layer, it's form a channel, the secreting protein channel, through which DNA come into the inside the cell wall. The uptake of DNA In the gram negative, the uptake of DNA is generally non-specific. That means they more or very less recombinant with the host DNA. They generally stay as a plasmid DNA, extracellular, extrachromosomal DNA. Although in some species, presence of specific DNA uptake sequence may facilitate efficient DNA uptake. As example, Neisseria gonorrhea as a gram-negative bacteria. So here you see that the outer membrane have a PQ. PQ is a secreting protein that form a pore, a channel. So in that channel, DNA enter to the cell in the peptide layer, the cell wall, and there. So PQ form a pore channel outer membrane of the gram-negative bacteria, and in the peptide glycan layer inside it's a PLE. It helps to intake the DNA inside the peptidoglycan layer from the outer membrane, and also they help binding the DNA. Then competence protein E, POM-E, it complex with the PLE protein and helps DNA to transport through the periplasmic space. You know that's the outer membrane and the peptide membrane. There is a periplasmic space. So, the periplasmic space, DNA will not degraded by any DNA or extracellular nuclease. That's POME helps to peel E. That DNA will be protected in the periplasmic space. Then like gram-positive bacteria, it also have a nuclease which degrades one strand of the DNA. The nuclease, like gram-positive bacteria, just stay up of the cell plasma membrane, so that degrade bacteria can go outside the outer membrane. Then the competence factor A protein, it forms a aqueous channel in the inner membrane and helps to transport the DNA. Same like for gram-positive bacteria, here also SSB protein will be there. It protects the DNA, or Reke protein for few cases. Sometimes it don't have some gram-negative don't have a Reke protein. So in that case, DNA itself replicate and stay as a extra chromosomal DNA, we call plasmid DNA. So hope you understand the mechanism of the how transformation happen in the gram positive and gram negative. Uh, please study hard and remember the mechanism how the competence factor help in the transformation and the function of individual competence factor. Now, condition for the transformation. So some bacteria have the surface protein that recognize and transport DNA from closely related species. Only closely related species, they have the same type of surface protein that recognize the other bacterial DNA, and they incorporate that DNA into inside their DNA. And some bacteria only transform when placed in the specific type of environment. In specific environment, if you place that, only they can successfully transform the extracellular DNA. Like E. coli, if you placed in the high calcium concentration and you put the extracellular DNA in E. coli, the DNA extracellular DNA can go inside the E. coli in the high calcium environment. Competence for the transformation is typically induced by that. When the competence cell, I already discussed with you that when competence cell become transformation, uh, transformically successful. When high density of cell is uh, there, means the high density of cell is required, nutritional limitation is required. Means that means matlab, you don't give the full support of nutrition. Uh, like in for the bacterial culture, what you give the bacterial, uh, the nutrient broth, agar media or nutrient broth media, where all the peptone, yeast extract or beef extract or agar or all that minerals, salt, everything is there. But the nutrient, when you want successfully transformation for a extracellular DNA to a host recipient DNA, you have to keep it in a nutritional limitation condition. Or even if it's a naturally happened a transformation, that bacteria must be in some nutritional limited condition, then it only can take, it become a weaker cell and it can take extracellular anything, extracellular DNA, everything it can take. Condition associated with the stationary phase of the bacterial growth, generally not in the lag phase. You already know that lag phase don't do nothing, it's only keep itself, their preparation of its own self protein only for the cell division. But in the log phase, it's a grow very fast, so they will not take any outside uh, extracellular anything, because they have a very high nutritional, or in the log phase cell have a very enriched of nutrition. In the stationary phase, they don't have a enriched of nutrition and they become weaker cell. Only that is the perfect conditions in stationary phase, is the perfect condition for the successful transformation. So that's it. I hope you understand all the process of transformation. Here is two books. Please go through these books: Prescott Microbiology or At Last Principle of Microbiology. Both are available in the library. You can take the book and please study hard. All the best. Thank you for your kind attention.